Hey folks, welcome to another live Q&A. Right, today is a pretty cool day. As I'm sure you may have seen from our other social media output today, we've just received this very, very nice, which I realise is the worst guitar I could have picked for today because I'm sat directly underneath a light and it's white. But let me get a little closer and show you just what this is. You may have seen it, as I say, on Instagram and stuff like that. We just got this awesome new Gibson Custom Shop Firebird, non-reverse Firebird I might add, in Polaris White. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time today talking about this mega thing. And as always, if you've joined us from previous live Q&As, you'll know the deal here. I kind of talk through some cool bits of gear from the shop and also answer as many of your questions as I possibly can in the time frame that I set. So I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us once again. Please keep these new questions and comments coming in and I'll get through them as we go. But wanted to make a little bit of a thing about this guitar right from the off, because we've started to see a little bit more sort of, dare I say, interesting output from the Gibson custom shop. You know, everyone loves Les Pauls and ES335s and SGs and stuff like that, but you know, we've seen a lot of Les Pauls recently. Being the 60th anniversary of this year, it's the 1960, of course, Gibson Les Paul Standard, the Burst. We've seen a ton of those guitars recently, and everyone wants one with very, very good reason. And you know, my great fortune is I get to play a lot of them as well when they come through, so that's great. But this year kind of marked a slight change, and it coincided, I think, with John and Joel from the shop going out to Nashville earlier this year to the Gibson factory and picking out some instruments, hand-picking not only tops for Les Pauls, but also some really, really cool examples of just slightly different Gibson guitars. Stuff we certainly haven't seen before, or certainly not in a long, long time. So, you know, this is a great example of that. I believe this was a guitar that was offered to John when he was at the Nashville factory. And there's a little bit of an interesting connection to this guitar, which I'll come on to a little bit later, but it was certainly a very compelling reason for John to purchase this guitar, which I'll tell you about later on. But just as an instrument of its own, it's an absolute inspiration, dream machine. As I often think a lot of these kind of slightly quirky Gibsons are. I think I talked about this last week, but if anyone's seen Tom Bukovac's recent YouTube output on his homeschooling show, you'll know that he's kind of a quirky Gibson guy. He likes his SGs and 335s, but also non-reverse Firebirds. So when I saw this today, it immediately put me in mind of some of the stuff that he's been doing. And I think a lot of the guitar community has been warming to that tone and that kind of feel that he has. So this is a great proponent of that. So it's a non-reverse Firebird, which in itself we don't see. I mean, the only other Firebird I've seen come through the shop of custom shop level recently was the Eric Clapton Firebird 5 or Firebird 1. I forget which one it was now. I think it was a Firebird 1. Which quite similar to this, but you know, that was a reverse Firebird. This is a non-reverse. I know I can see someone's commented about the lighting. I do apologise. I've not set this up very well, but here we are, and you know, it's a white guitar. What are we going to do? But anyway, so I'm going to show you a few more tones that this has got. I will just point out that I pretty much grabbed this as soon as it was done in the photo studio today, and it came straight out the box, so it's in need of a little bit of a setup. In case you're listening and you're thinking it sounds a little bit buzzy, this will be professionally set up by our install technician before I do a feature on it, probably tomorrow. But I just had to use it in today's video. I had to just grab it and just kind of, damn all the consequences, you know, I'm just going to go for it, and we'll see what we can get out of this thing. What you heard at the intro there was my kind of go-to Gibson setup, which I talked about before, which is both pickups on, and the neck volume at around 6, and the bridge at about 10. At 10. So let me just show you that tone one more time, because it is such a great sound. This is just clean, by the way. Okay, so that's just the clean tone. Let me give you a little bit of gain, and I'll talk about what else is in the signal chain. I'm doing a lot of teasing today, but let me just show you some more tones from this guitar, then I'll talk a bit more about it. Mega. You know, as I just said in the intro there, you know, there's so much talk about Gibson tone. It's so commonly associated with Les Pauls and 335s, but this is just something else. This is another side of the coin, and yet it's still so quintessentially Gibson. It's got that thickness to it that just comes from having such a large body, I think. It's a very thin body. You know, it's kind of getting on for SG thickness. In fact, it might even be a little bit thinner than an SG. I'm not sure. I'm sure there'll be Gibson aficionados out there that will know all the specs on these guitars, but it's a really nice hybrid of Les Pauls and SGs, I think, the non-reverse Firebird. And then you've got these mini humbucker pickups, which, again, you just don't see very often. You know, it's kind of along the same lines as a P90, I think, but maybe a little bit thicker and obviously hum cancelling still. So it's kind of a winning formula, and I do wonder why players don't go for guitars like this as often. I guess it's also just the supply of them. So hopefully, guys and gals out there, you know, up your demand for these wonderful guitars from Gibson, and we'll start to see a lot more of them, because I certainly have a good time playing them, and I just wish I could afford more of Gibson's custom shop output these days, because they're really nailing it. Okay, so I'm going to get onto questions in a second, but before I do that, let me just address what the amplifier is that you're hearing today. I wanted to honour a few requests that we've had in the past on several of these live Q&As actually, and various comments on videos, to use a Magnatone amp. So I'm using the panoramic stereo amp today, and I've just set it pretty clean with a nice healthy dollop of reverb, and it sounds great. And being the stereo version, it's got that mega, I'm using it in the vibrato mode, but tremolo circuit. Which you might be able to hear. I've set it quite subtly. Had to resolve that. That was a disgusting chord I played there. So you get the idea. I've talked a fair bit about this guitar. What makes it even more special, and the reason I think that John was so compelled to get this guitar, is that when he was at the factory, this guitar had just come back to them, I believe, on consignment from Mr. Joe Bonamassa. So it's unclear whether this was a live guitar, a studio guitar, something he just had to noodle around with perhaps, but there's documents to prove it. This guitar has been in Bonamassa's possession, at least. Maybe not his hands, who knows, but it came back from him just before it reached the custom shop. So there's a little bit of kind of, you know, celebrity attachment, if you like. You know, I'm not going to say that it's a celebrity-owned guitar, because we don't really know, but I just thought I'd put that out there. Despite the fact that it's an incredible guitar anyway, it's you know, got that pretty cool little connection to it, that little accolade, if you like. Who knows? Who knows? Maybe it's been used all over Joe's latest album. I don't know. Right, so that's what the amp and the guitar setup is. On the floor, I've got Mad Professor's Supreme Overdrive, which is the Matt Schofield signature dual-sided 2-channel overdrive pedal. When this came out, I think last year, maybe even the year before now, I can't remember, but when it debuted, it proved to be very popular. I know a lot of players including a few guys that I know are using this pedal very effectively. And you know, there's a lot of those 2-in-1 gain pedals out there at the moment. I use the Dualist all the time from King Tone, and you know, most people lust after the Analog Man King of Tone. I think the Supreme deserves to kind of be in the same category. It does a different thing. It's higher gain, or it's certainly capable of higher gain. But I think the tones are really good. So let me just show you the 2 channels, the way I've set them, along with the clean sound. So let me start with channel B, which I've set up as my lower gain sound. So here's the clean. Okay, then I've set up channel A for a higher gain lead sound, a la maybe Joe Bonamassa, who knows? There's the 3 sounds, in fact, but there's the 2 sounds from the Supreme. They're really good. I think it earns its name Supreme. So there we go. Okay, that's the full rig for today. In the spirit of cool gear, I am going to show you another guitar a little later on, but let's get into the questions. I can see a few have come in already, so I'm going to start searching through what you added in, and I'll do my best to answer as many as I can. Right, a few hellos. Vasilis, I was waiting for this all day. That's very kind of you, sir. Good to have you along. Thanks for joining. McNasty as well. This is great. Okay, David, below that, Jack needs to talk more about his playing. His demos are all great. I love all his riffs. That's very, very kind of you, sir. Thank you very much. I will direct you, as I always do in these videos. If you want to know more about my playing, please check out my own YouTube channel, which is Jack Griffiths Music. I'll link that in the description below, so you can check that out once this is done. That's where I talk about all the kind of playing side of things. The Peach Guitars channel is all about cool gear. So that's the idea. Right, let's see what else we've got. McNasty says, been hearing rumours that Fender is getting rid of the American Professional Series. Curious if you guys have heard the same thing. Not as far as I know. That would be a pretty drastic move for them to make, but we'll see. I guess we'll see what happens. There's new Fender arrivals just around the corner, so it'll be interesting to see what turns up. It seems to be a really good year for Fender. They've had a whole bevy of new signature models come out, and we've certainly got some cool stuff on the way. I'm very interested to get my hands on the Brent Mason Telecaster that I know a couple of people have asked about. I think that's going to be a really, really cool, because that is the ultimate. Brent Mason, for those who don't know, is the ultimate Nashville country session guitar player. So that is his go-to guitar that they replicated in fine detail that he used on countless recordings. So I'm very interested to see if the spirit is in there of that kind of level of versatility that he has as a player. I'm kind of secretly hopeful that it might bring something out of me. Let's see when I get it. But yeah, Fender-wise, I'm not sure exactly what they're doing. Certainly not with the American Professional Series. I wouldn't want to speculate. I guess we'll find out soon enough. Okay, so Black GSD54 just got here. Noodles for breakfast. Yummy. Interesting. I don't know whether that's a reference to noodling playing or you're eating noodles for breakfast. Whatever it is, all power to you, sir. Rosie Penny, hello. And Gavin too, I hope. Good to see you. Right. Tom Riley, when are the new PRSs that you showcased going to be up on the website, please? I believe a few of them are up there already. I think there's going to be more coming out very soon. We're certainly going to be getting to the listings of those guitars tomorrow, so you'll be seeing them on the website very soon. If anyone hasn't seen that, check out the unboxing video that came out recently. There was some really nice, very, very nice private stock pieces and just these unusual PRSs, new models and stuff like that. So there is a video that documented them all. I don't know how many have gone already, might be a fair few, but get in touch with the sales team if you can't see something on the website. The the sales team will be very happy to help you out in the meantime. But they're on their way. They're on their way, don't worry. And I do have some interesting PRS related content to show you a little later on in this video. Okay. Nelly Nilsson. Nice tones, but please change the lighting. Yes, forgive me, I haven't addressed this early on in the video, but I'm sat in one of the demo rooms with this very, very bright strobe lighting right above me. I'm playing a white guitar, more full me today. I'm going to experiment with some different locations for next week, so we might get around that issue. But for today, please just bear with me. Turn the brightness down on your screen, and hopefully you can get past that issue. But yeah, I do agree the lighting is pretty terrible today. Right, let me see. I want to get some more questions in here. Milos kindly recommended my own YouTube channel. Thank you very much for that, sir. Yeah, I'll repeat that a little later on. I think somebody asked. It's Jack Griffiths music, but it will be in the description down below after this video. So I'll come back to that later. Craig Falconer says, hopefully Gibson will put these and ES330s back into regular production for next year. Once again, that would be nice, particularly at a USA kind of price point outside a custom shop, because they're just some of the, like I say, they're the alternative side of Gibson that we don't get to see and experience that often, and it is a shame because as instruments go, particularly these guitars, and 330s as well, but these Firebirds and Explorers and Vs and all that stuff. I know Steve Burrows, I think Steve's watching. Hello Steve, I know he's a big V enthusiast, and we recently did a little video with a classic 70s Flying V guitar, USA guitar, which got quite a lot of positive praise, that guitar did. So, you know, they're working their way back to it, I think. The heyday of Gibson, I mean, this was a cliche from last year, but the heyday of Gibson is certainly coming back. At least the spirit of the heyday of Gibson is coming back. So, you know, we are starting to see these things come through. Long may it continue. Okay. Milos, I see down below you left your stir-fried rice on the stove when I started playing, but at least the firemen seem like cool dudes. That's a very humorous comment, but I hope that you haven't actually risked the safety of your house and possibly your family by watching this video. Please make sure you turn that off, but thank you for your concentration, I appreciate that. Okay, I think pretty much caught up. Oh, Vincent, dude straight up looks and talks like a young Joe Bonamassa. I've heard that a few times recently, which is very kind, I think. You know, maybe the playing would be nicer to have some kind of comparison to. I don't know, but you know, I like Joe. He's a cool guy. So thank you. Yeah, I'll have to work on my American accent. Right. Okay, let's get back into things. So I'm going to show you a couple more tones with this guitar just to explore what it's got. It's got this very cool vibrola, I think it is, bridge system on it, which is kind of an unspoken rule that players just knock it out of the way. But I think, like I say, this guitar hasn't been set up yet. It's literally come out of its case, it's been in the photo studio, it's hit your eyes on the internet, and now it's hitting your ears as freshly as it's hitting my hands. So basically it hasn't had any professional attention done to it today, but let me give it a go, see what I can get out of it. If it goes out of tune, that's it just needs to set up, as I say. So there's my disclaimer out of the way, but let's see what it does. I'm also going to show you the other pickup options. So let's start with some neck pickup as well, because I think all the tones in this guitar are magic, but I wanted to start with that in-between thing. Let's see what we get. neck pickup sound. It's kind of got a little bit of that P90 thing, like I said, but it's unique. It is very unique. It's got so many, actually I'm not sure the correct way to phrase this, but the transients coming off this guitar and the Magnatone amp are ridiculous. So I'm playing as softly as I can, because if I lay into this, it's not only going to take my face off here in the room, but I think it's probably going to do some serious damage to anyone watching at home as well. It's just, it's mega sounding. Do you know what? This is such a nice bridge. Let me just turn the tremolo off and you'll hear it a little more clearly. Oh yes, indeed. It's a great sounding guitar. Great playing guitar as well. Really nice feel to it, which isn't always the case. Sometimes these kind of off-the-wall Gibsons, and certainly sometimes out-the-box Gibsons, can feel a little bit, I don't know, cumbersome. You know, particularly if they haven't had a setup and a little bit of kind of professional treatment. But this thing just, even though, like I said, it does need a setup, it's a little buzzy and you just don't hear that through the amp. Maybe that's the Magnatone doing some magic as well, but for some reason F chords just sound the absolute nuts on this guitar. F for Firebird, one would suppose. There you go. So if you buy this guitar, you have to play in the key of F most of the time. Works very, very well. Right, let me address a few more questions, then I'm going to move on to some other bits of cool gear. Right, okay. Jill Griffiths says hi from Wales. Hello, I hope you're having a wonderful time still and not getting rained on. Okay. Yeah, David Axelbank, cool name, points out these are definitely one of the most comfortable guitars to play despite the size. I totally agree. I'd like to see what this thing feels like kind of stood up on a strap, but the way it sits is not, and this is testament to the non-reverse Firebird, I think. It just sits very comfortably. It doesn't really have as much of the neck dive that reverse Firebirds and SGs tend to do. This just seems a little bit more balanced. Plus you also don't have the incredibly heavy banjo tuners like you do on some of those Firebirds. So this is, if I was to pick a Firebird for myself, I think this would pretty much be the spec. And this Polaris white, I know it's the worst colour in the world in this particular room in this video today, but it's sort of like Gibson stole a colour from Fender's catalogue. That's kind of how I look at this. It's, yeah, from the back, once again you can't see, but it's just got that lovely off-white, yellow, creamy kind of thing. It's a rare colour as well for the custom shop, but it's one of my favourites. It looks great on this. It would look amazing on SG Juniors and SG Specials and stuff like that. Let's see what they come out with. But yeah, great guitar in all ways, I have to say, in all ways. Okay. Yeah, Steve Burrows points out the panoramic stereo, which is the amp I'm using today. You use yours with a 2x10 stereo extension. That's a whole lot stereo. That's a whole lot of speakers. But I can see that would sound amazing. Yeah, it's a great combination today. Thank you for all the recommendations for the Magnatone. I'm glad I finally got one in one of these videos. So, okay. Got a couple of hellos for Casino Guitars are in the house once again. Good to see you guys. G. Tedeschi, hello from New York. As I said last week, I love when people chime in with where they're watching from. It's very, very interesting. So if you are watching from any climate in the world, please let me know where you're watching from, because I do find that interesting. Milos points out, sounds like if the throatiness of an SG met the sweetness of a Telly. Fair comment there, I think. It's got the Telly bite, particularly on the bridge pickup. But it never gets too harsh. That you can play Gibson guitars, any Gibson guitars, into a clean amp on the bridge pickup, as long as the pickup is good, which all these custom shop guitars have amazing pickups. I'm not sure exactly what these are, but I'm guessing they're Gibson's own spec, mini humbuckers. You can just play it clean and it's still got a bunch of life to it. Neck 2, of course. Right, there we go. Gibson Custom Shop non-reverse Firebird with an interesting Joe Bonamassa connection. So stay tuned for more information. I'm sure it'll be on the web listing for this guitar. We'll probably film a feature video on this as well. So keep your eyes out. Hopefully someone doesn't ring up and buy it before we get a chance to do all those things, but this is the real world and I'm sure that will probably happen. Right, moving along. As I alluded to earlier, it's been a big week for PRS guitars. We had that really cool shipment of private stocks and I believe some other bits and pieces that are new. And not a whole lot of kind of credit has been given to the amazing work PRS has done in their S2 lineup recently. So I've got a couple of them here. I'm going to play one of them today, and I'm going to show you the other one. So this is an S2 Standard in the double cut format. Gloss finish, I think it's important to point out, because normally these S2 guitars, at least as far as I know, have satin finishes, which is cool, but gloss finishes, I think they're a really good price point. Let me just get this thing in tune and then I'll show you how it sounds. The S2, for anyone who doesn't know, they're still American-made PRS guitars, made in the same factory as all the USA core stuff, but an awful lot less expensive, is what I was trying to say. But I actually think that they've paid a lot of attention to it this year. We've seen stuff like the McCartys and the 594s enter the S2 lineup, which is great. Those are guitars that certainly I and a lot of other players really lust after in the core collection. So the S2 guitars, I've had the chance to play a couple of them, but they came and went very quickly. I'm sure someone out there is playing one right now and they're very happy with it. They were great, they were amazing, and I've had a few questions about them, so there's definitely interest here in these guitars. But yeah, these new standard models, I've got both this double cut and I've got single cut here. It's another white guitar, so I'm going to opt not to play that one for the sake of your eyeballs. But let me show you how this little sparkly green beauty sounds when I get this thing in tune. Once again, box fresh, went into the photo studio, into my hands. So, if we've got some tuning issues, bear in mind that that is what's happened to this. Let's see what it sounds like. First thing I'll say, and it's been a while since I played an S2, so my memories of them are a little bit hazy. If I didn't know that this wasn't a core line guitar, this neck feels identical. This feels like a USA Custom 24, and I've played a lot of those recently. It feels exactly the same. I guess it's the same profile. It's quite a thin profile, so it might be a pattern thin as opposed to a pattern regular, but this neck profile feels great, really comfortable. And spoke last week in the Q&A about glossy necks. I think it was last week anyway. Someone was talking about PRS necks. Might have been the week before actually. We're talking about PRS necks and the glossiness on them and why they opt to do that over satin necks. And I kind of alluded to the fact that it's probably just a premium feeling thing, and the finish as well, but it is a premium feel, and this guitar's got it, you know. So even at a lower price point, I think the glossy neck, which is beautiful by the way, I don't think this camera's going to do it justice at all, but there'll be pictures up on the website very soon. It's just a lovely, lovely guitar, and I don't always feel that way about, you know, if you're aware of a company's output predominantly for being a higher end company, which I am with PRS, but you know, other companies where then you go down to their sort of lower price point guitars and they don't always deliver the same level of quality at all. It's often like a totally different brand. This still feels just like a PRS. So if you like PRS, an S2 is an amazing way to get into the brand or to continue your appreciation for the brand without spending a whole ton of money. I'm not sure exactly how much these cost, but I know that it's about a third maybe of the cost of a regular core guitar. You've also got a coil split on here, on this push-pull on the tone. So let me show you some gain sounds with this coil split, and then I'll put the humbucker in. Treble bleed on these guitars, I think, which is very important because it means you can do that. I do think PRS are probably the best in the game at doing coil splits and coil taps and stuff like that. I'm not normally a big fan of them, but the voicing that they've got for the split coil sound is great. If I compare it directly to the humbucker, let me go to the in-between sound. I'll turn the gain down a little bit as well, so I'll show you the humbucking tone and then I'll show you the split coil tone, and you'll hear there's a very definitive character to each, and it doesn't just sound like they halved the humbucking pickup, which is what I hate the most about most coil splits. Let me show you. I think it sounds really, really nice. The only thing I think that I would prefer to have would be independent volumes and tones for each pickup, which isn't everyone's taste, but you know, that's where stuff like the McCarthy guitars and the 594 S2 comes in, which we will be seeing very soon. We might even have some, I haven't checked, but they're certainly on the way. Yeah, PRS are just nailing it with these S2 guitars. So if you're kind of averse to spending the kind of money that PRS USA guitars normally cost, and you want a flavour of the brand, then something like this is going to do you very well. Let me just show you what this tremolo does. Once again, this is a bit of a gamble because this hasn't been set up, but PRS have some of the best trends as well. Great trem. So just every appointment on this guitar, I think, suits it really well, and it's going to suit a lot of different players out there. I love the split coil sound, so I think even if you're looking for a predominantly single coil guitar, this could probably be on your list if you want that option. I think it's great. There's other S2s available, as I said, so check out the website for that. Just for the hell of it, let's quickly plug in this guitar, as long as it's not horrifically out of tune. So this is another standard S2, and this is single cut fixed bridge. Let's see what tuning it's been left in for me. That in tune for you. By the way, I did take note from people who commented last week about leaving headstock tuners on the guitars. I agree. I'm going to take it off each time. Fair cop, once again. Right, let's get this thing in tune. I believe they're the same pickups in all these S2 guitars. I don't think there's any differentiation. I'm also not 100% sure, but I think they've undergone the same TCI treatment that all PRS guitars have undergone for 2020, which is to say that they've just really worked on the kind of, you know, the fine tuning of each pickup. the capacitance and inductance of each pickup, and they've just made it as good as it can possibly be. And I believe that that's filtered down to the S2s as well. It certainly had on the 594s and the custom 24s. So I'm led to believe it is the case on these S2 standards as well, but I could be wrong on that. But they sound great, whatever they are. Let's explore some tones.